Okay, let's change the subject a little bit. These two were married, doing all sorts of things like flips, commercial conversions, working with JV partners, etc., etc. Now, they've got joint bank accounts, not only with each other, but also some of their business associates as well. Helen goes into hospital, routine check, and unfortunately, there's a minor slip-up, and she's put into an induced coma, okay? Now, the doctors, by law, under the Mental Health Act 2015, have to report that to the Court of Protection because she's deemed under law to be a vulnerable person, okay? The Court of Protection then informs social services, who then confirm that Helen doesn't have a lasting power of attorney. So this is what happens next. You've all heard of the secret court, yes? No? Well, you wouldn't have done, would you? Secret. Right, it's actually the Court of Protection, and this is how they work with social services. All right? Now, well, you know what that figure represents, don't we? 5.7 billion quid. Yeah. The inheritance tax paid in 2023. The next figure that comes on the screen is nothing to do with inheritance tax. So don't say it's the inheritance tax paid in 2024, or you will owe me a chocolate. What does that figure represent? 6.5 billion. Anyone got a clue?
Another load of money the government's robbed of us.
Well, yes, succinctly put, wonderful. You should be a politician, sir. That is actually the amount taken by the Court of Protection from people who didn't have lasting powers of attorney. That's money and assets. And this is how it happens. So what's a lasting power of attorney, and why should you have one? Well, basically, a lasting power of attorney is a legal document that gives someone the legal authority to act for you if you lack the capacity to act for yourself, okay? There's two types, health and welfare and property and financial affairs. Now, without those, as people in property, there's going to be some potential major repercussions. No one has your authority to deal with these things, okay? So who's going to deal with that new tenant you want to see into your property? How are you going to get any repairs done on your property? Who's going to authorise that? What about finishing your conversion? Or, I don't know, completing your tax return? Make medical or legal decisions? Because without a legally registered, lasting power of attorney, nobody in the UK has your legal authority to make decisions and act for you. Otherwise, I could help myself to your bank account and make your medical decisions. No problem at all. It can't happen. And I'll show you some examples. Helen has gone into a coma, and within 15 days, the Court of Protection has to be informed by her GP, okay? Within 28 days, social services have got to pitch up at their house doing a health assessment or a best interest meeting, okay? All of the bank accounts, investment accounts, whatever she has got signatory to are frozen. Let that resonate with you for a second, please, because that means all of your bank accounts, all of the joint bank accounts you have possibly with your other half, your business bank accounts, your pensions, your ISAs, your investments, okay? All of the tenants' rents are going to get returned to them. So, of course, I don't know how your mortgages are going to get paid, let alone utilities. And social services are now in charge of all your finances and will charge you a fee of £800 per account per year to manage those accounts, okay? They've got to have a minimum of one meeting with you a month, for which they will charge 320 quid as well, all right? Now, if they've got to look after someone, take them to the doctors, take them to the dentist, whatever, they charge pro rata for that too. 6.5 billion quid. And you thought 5.7 billion was quite a lot, didn't you, for inheritance tax? Kate Garraway? Know her story? That's exactly what happened to her. Her husband got COVID and was admitted to hospital pre-vaccine. She tried to find some treatment for him, which she found on an experimental basis in the States, but she didn't have powers of attorney. Derek didn't have powers of attorney when he was diagnosed. She could not access funds from her bank. Their joint bank account was frozen. And she couldn't make any medical decisions for him either. She didn't have the legal right to see his medical notes or make any decisions. There is a bank rule, okay? And it says one account holder is not automatically entitled to withdraw funds from a joint bank account if the other holder loses the capacity to make decisions. But when both have capacity, both the bank account holders authorize each other day to day, logical. When one loses capacity, that authority is revoked. He died in January this year, unfortunately, and Kate now, she's saying in the press, going to have to sell her house because she just wiped out financially, having to pay for his care. Lasting powers of attorney obviously would have helped that situation, and she has written a book, The Power of Hope, which is, quite a book to read. But if you don't believe a word I say, I'll send you a link to this. Honestly, get it done. This is so, so important. So if you need long-term care that can't be given to you at home, how do social services choose where you get your care? Well, I've done some digging, and there's an eBay-type system out there run by a company called Matrix SCM, who've got a software called Sprocknet. They're based in Milton Keynes. Okay, so if you need long-term care that cannot be given to you in your own home, what they do is they put your details on Sprocknet, and it goes out to all of the care providers registered with them. So whilst you might be living in Norwich, if you need long-term care that cannot be given to you in your own home and you haven't got powers of attorney, if someone in Truro bids for your care contract and wins that, that's where you're going to go get your care. So get lasting powers of attorney, guys. Very, very important. Let's look at reducing inheritance tax, shall we? Anyone here got any life insurance? Yeah? Is your policy, who's paying for it? You or the business? Because this is something not everyone knows, and accountants get quite confused about this. If you are paying for it yourself and you are a business owner that is drawing a salary from your business, the business can pay it and you can get tax relief. So say, for example, you're paying personally £100 a month for your life insurance policy. As a business owner, you've got to earn enough money to pay your national insurance, your employer's national insurance, and of course your own income tax. Call that £160 that you've got to earn to get 100 in your account to pay for the life cover, yeah? If the company pays the £100, you can get tax relief on that, so you only pay about 80, which is a nice tax-saving wheeze, really, and it's perfectly legal. Is your policy in trust? Okay, because if it's not in trust, there's going to be some severe repercussions there, because the cover is deemed to pay, if you die, into your personal estate. Increases the value of the estate, and therefore there could be inheritance tax payable on that. Okay, if it's not in trust, your beneficiaries are going to have to wait till probate's granted, and if you haven't got a will, that could be forever. That could take years. Is your policy worth more than £325,000? Because if it is, and it's left in one trust, the excess above the 325 in that trust is going to be taxed at 6% every 10 years. This is another stealth tax by HMRC and our government. Okay, so as an example, imagine you've got a life insurance policy of £1,325,000, okay, left by your well-meaning but stupid financial advisor. That all goes into one trust. You unfortunately die. You've got 325 as the maximum you should have in that trust, but in 10 years' time, you've got an extra £1 million in there. That gets taxed at 6%, so in 10 years' time, your trust is going to have to pay an extra £60,000. It's fairly simple, really. Set up multiple policies and multiple trusts with no more than £325,000 per policy and per trust. If you haven't got a decent financial advisor that's done that for you, I'm no longer a financial advisor, by the way, let me know. I'll introduce you to people who can do it properly. Okay. So we'll look at leaving shares to the wrong person. Okay, Fred, world famous widget maker from Norwich, and he's got a business worth £2 million. Okay. Now, when he dies, he wants to leave his shares to his wife, Mary. So there's no inheritance tax between husband and wife. Okay. And when Mary dies, still owning the shares, there will be no inheritance tax because of a wonderful inheritance tax-free business relief, okay? But there's a major challenge. Fred's now died, left the shares to Mary, okay? Mary's not interested in running a widget-making company, so she sells the shares. She goes to London, she's in the city of London, she gets knocked down by that bus there, number 21. Believe that, you believe anything. But she dies. Okay, she's got 2 million quid in her personal bank account now. Happy days. Not really, because the repercussions are 2 million quid times 40% is an £800,000 inheritance tax bill. Oh dear. Let's look at a way around that, shall we? So what I would have done if I'd met Fred beforehand is say, right, if you want to leave your shares to your wife, leave them in a business trust, okay? So now he's died, the shares go into trust for Mary. She's the beneficiary, she's the trustee. She wants nothing to do with widget making, so she sells her shares to ABC Widgets, okay? They give her 2 million quid, which she's now got in her trust account. Not her personal account, her trust account. Everyone got that? Right, now Mary is 83 years old and she wants to have a fine time. So she borrows £500,000 quid and goes around the world on various trips here, there and everywhere. And designer drugs, leather trousers, piercings, tattoos, toy boys and motorbikes. And wakes up in a bar in Shanghai with a strange man on each arm with a big smile on her face and then promptly dies. And the next line of beneficiaries are her sons, okay? We've already saved them £800,000. And now they say to HMRC, that money that Mum borrowed, she borrowed from what is now our trust. We don't want that money back. So I'll tell you what we do. Can you deduct the debt against Mum and Dad's estate, the rest of the estate, and therefore they save another £200,000 in inheritance tax? Happy days? Anyone got a widget making business? No? Oh. Well, there you go. But the challenge is that business relief is not available to companies, investment companies or companies with income derived from property rentals. Limited companies carrying on a trade, though, such as commercial to residential conversions, new builds, refurbs, all qualify for business relief. So think about your strategies, guys. I guess the moral of the story, do get yourselves a tax-efficient will. Lasting powers of attorney, also very, very important. Do put your policies in trust and protect your assets. But do something now before you can't, okay? These are my contact details. If you want a copy of our estate planning guide, just contact me. You can click on that crossword. I can't finish it, but that will get you an appointment. And see me before you go. Thank you very much. We've got time for questions. Any questions?
Can you go back a slide? Click on.
Yep.
Thank you.
That one? That one.
Thank you.
Okay. Any others? You've got a question.
Two threads together. What happens with, in terms of lasting powers of attorney with children?
Yep.
If someone was, say, a single parent with a child, they're in a coma, how does that play out without the lasting powers of attorney? Because you already talked
Without
about
lasting powers of attorney, yeah, the court will probably take care of them, take them into care. Yeah, I mean, they're quite lenient about something, a situation like that. But on death, they generally would take children as wards of court until the court decides what's going to happen with them. I don't know if you remember, there was some weird, wonderful thing that happened. Not wonderful, but a guy got killed in the Alps. Somebody was following his car, and they shot all the occupants of the car, apart from the little girl who hid under in the footwell behind the seats. And she survived, but she was in care for 2 years because they didn't have any relatives here, they didn't have wills or anything like that. Yeah, that was near where I used to live, so that's why I remember it. Anyone else?
If you've got a mixed company, which does both rentals and flips and whatever,
Yeah.
how does that get treated?
Well, the value of the part that has rental income will be deducted from the value of the company for inheritance tax. But it's a very difficult thing to do, and you might find yourselves, well, someone might find themselves fighting HMRC. The better thing to do would be have a separate company collecting the rental income and another company doing the flips, etc. Does that answer your question?
And does it
Cool.
make any difference if any of these companies are limited or any of that stuff? Does that change any of that?
Not really, because it's the asset value that's the important thing, yeah.
When you say asset value, sorry, do you mean personal? Say you've got personal and like 10 limited companies, it will add up all, and you're the only director of those 10 limited companies, it will add up all of that.
Well, it doesn't matter if you're the only director, it's the shareholders' value in that business. So if you've got, keep it simple, 3 companies, and none of them qualify for business relief because they're seen by HMRC as either an investment company or a company that collects rental income, then the value of your shareholding in those companies will be added to your estate for inheritance tax calculations. Yeah?
So to what extent do you think that a well set up will should be sort of almost fire and forget document, or through to the other inspection where it's more of a living document that's reviewed? And
It's always a living document, should always be. Yeah, we are in touch with our clients, perhaps over the top, but we're in touch on an annual basis because we know that, especially in the property world, things can accelerate to a point where people all of a sudden get bang, bang, bang. They've got really some great investors, they bought some properties, they've started another company doing this, etc., etc. So what we say, we're in touch with you on an annual basis. If anything happens, you want to speak to us, just pick up the phone, drop us an email, and we'll be straight on it.
so is yours, there's a start-up cost and then an ongoing cost?
No, there's no ongoing costs.
Okay.
No, there's just, we charge £150 for a will plus VAT.
So if you have a will with another solicitor, does it go on a register or something?
You can register it, yeah.
But say,
Yeah.
say you do have one, and then you have one with you,
Yeah.
and then someone dies.
On the front of your will, the first line will say, "This is my last will and testament." On the last page, it's dated, so that then supersedes the previous will. So it doesn't matter, what you had previously. Anyone else?
How does it take to set up those kinds of things?
That we can do it in a week.
So the will, that's a power of attorney, and various insurances.
Insurances, I don't know, because I don't do insurance anymore. In general, the insurance will be handled by a financial advisor, and it will be then down to the underwriter to offer you the insurance if you pass their criteria. Yeah? Anyone else?
Should we all set Chris the challenge to have his will sorted by this time next month? Did everyone hear that? Are we going to set Chris the challenge to have all, I'm not saying he doesn't have one, to have all of his will things sorted out by next month's pen meeting?
Yes. And I'll come back just in case. If you don't do it, I'll come back and haunt you. Anyone else? No other questions?
What if you were living with somebody, but it was a relatively new-ish relationship, and you've got children with somebody else? So how would you set up to protect your assets from the capital gains tax, but...
Nothing to do with capital gains tax.
Well, sorry, how do I put it there?
You want to protect your assets from someone else getting it until you've actually got her in bed. Is that right?
How do you protect yourself from inheritance tax, but without giving everything to somebody that you might not be ready to hand it over to? Do you see what I mean?
When you die, the executor's job is to value your estate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're a single person, there'll be inheritance tax due on anything above £325,000. However, there is, if you own a property that's worth more than that, as a single person, you can have an extra up to £175,000, providing you've got kids. That's the residential nil rate ban. So that's that situation where people frequently say to me, "Oh, I can own assets up to £1 million. There's no inheritance tax." Only on your principal residence. Married couple, he can have 325, she can have 325. The residential rate on top of that is an extra 175. So 325 plus 175, she's got £500,000 nil rate band, he's got £500,000 nil rate band, they can leave £500,000 quid to the kids in their property. Your situation will mean that if you die, you want to leave your assets to your kids in trust. Best way of doing it, because it gives it a little bit more protection. Yeah, anyone can contest a will, but provided, one of the things that we provide also will stops, it's a lovely word, vexatious claims, because we have a document that says, I interviewed you, I believe you're of sound mind, you weren't being forced, you weren't under duress, etc., when you made the will. You keep that with your will, and no one's going to be able to contest it on those basis. If they feel that they have been unfairly left out of a will, then of course they have the right to take that to court. But, you know, in your circumstances, leave her something.
I would do, yeah. I'm not, you know, sometimes you don't want to jump in both feet straight away.
No. But a will, as a, you know, it's a living document. If at some stage in 6 months or a year's time you want to include someone in it, you can do that. If you want to change the executors, you can do that. If you want to, I don't know, take a beneficiary out, you can always do that as well. Nothing, by the way, if we set up trusts for people, nothing goes into a trust until somebody dies. So you've got full control of the assets until you die, and it's only then that they go into the trust. So you might own more assets, you might own various other things that you might want to put in trust as well. So you just give us a call or whatever and say, look, can I include this, can I do this, whatever. It's always wise to let us know, but we are in touch with clients anyway on an annual basis.
Could Lee, or the other person that Lee's talking about, put like a plain English clause in that says, if he's with a non-marital partner and they were separated, as in they're no longer living together, that what they'd left to them would no longer apply? Could you put some kind of plain English clause in?
I would have thought so. You put it in a memorandum of wishes. I've never heard of anyone doing that.
Why wouldn't you, though, if you think about it? You're leaving lots of a girlfriend.
Well, you just phone us and just say, I want to change the will. Just change it. I'm not living with her anymore. Take her out. I've had that on a few occasions. Not with him, but other people.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you at the bar.